Hello, and welcome back to Daily Story, your home for thrilling audio adventures. This is MagicSurprise F, and we are so grateful to have you with us. If you enjoy our tales, please consider hitting that like button, sharing this episode with a friend, and subscribing to the channel so you never miss a story. Now, get comfortable, and let's begin today's audiobook.
As promised, tonight we bring you a story about a recording that defies all logic. This is Dead Air. My name is Leo Kent. My job is to rescue voices from the past, cleaning the dust and decay from old audio recordings. But the voice I found on the dusty quarter-inch tape from the old KAVIK radio station wasn't just old. It was impossible. The man confessing to a forgotten crime had been buried for 10 years before the tape was even manufactured. The job came in a set of cardboard boxes, smelling of mildew and neglect. They were the archives of KAVIK, a local radio station that had gone off the air in the 80s. My task was to digitize anything of historical value: old jingles, news reports, local interviews. It was tedious work, mostly listening to static and the ghosts of forgotten advertisements. I was working on a reel labeled Station IDs and Promos, 1965. It was in poor shape, the magnetic tape brittle and shedding oxide. I carefully threaded it onto my deck and began the slow process of playback and digital restoration. For the first 20 minutes, it was exactly what the label promised. Cheesy jingles and a booming announcer's voice declaring, "You're listening to KAVIK Radio." Then the announcer cut off mid-sentence. The tape went to static, a thick, roiling hiss. I nearly fast-forwarded, but my audio software showed a faint rhythmic waveform hidden beneath the noise. A voice. I isolated the frequency, filtered out the hiss, and amplified the signal. My studio speakers crackled to life. In was it. I didn't want to do it. She screamed. I told her to be quiet. Under the old oak, by the river bend. That's where I left her. No one ever found her. No one but me. My name is Frank Miller, and God have mercy on my soul. The confession ended as abruptly as it began, replaced by the deafening hiss of blank tape. I sat frozen in my chair, the man's words echoing in the silent room. It was chillingly real. I rewound the tape and listened again. The details were specific. The name Frank Miller rang a bell. I remembered it from a local cold case file. My grandfather, a former cop, used to talk about the disappearance of a young woman named Eleanor Vance in 1954. She was last seen with her boyfriend, who was the primary suspect, but was never charged due to lack of evidence. Driven by a grim curiosity, I opened my laptop and started digging. I found Frank Miller's name in the county archives. The file included an old photograph, a man with dark, brooding eyes and a hard jawline. But the next detail made my heart stop. Frank Miller had died of a heart attack in 1955, just a year after Eleanor vanished. I looked at the reel spinning silently on my deck. The tape was Ampex 406. I knew my media. Ampex didn't even start producing the 406 series until 1963. The batch this reel came from was manufactured in 1965. Frank Miller had confessed his crime onto a tape that wouldn't exist for 10 years after his death. I tried to rationalize it. A hoax? Someone else confessing using Miller's name? But the voice, It had an authenticity that acting couldn't replicate. It was the sound of a soul unburdening itself. Over the next few days, I became consumed by the recording. I listened to it dozens of times, trying to scrub it cleaner, to pull more from the static. That's when the strange thing started. Working late one night, I had the tape playing on a loop through my headphones. In the silence between his words, I began to hear other sounds. Whispers, so faint they were like thoughts. Cold, so cold. Find me. I ripped the headphones off, my skin crawling. I scanned the room. I was alone. The next day, my audio software began to glitch, but only when I loaded the KAVIK file. The waveform of Frank's confession would distort, spiking erratically, as if the voice was trying to break free of its magnetic prison. Once, during playback, all the lights in my studio flickered and died, plunging me into darkness, while the ghostly confession continued to play from my battery-powered speakers. This wasn't just an impossible recording. It was an active haunting. The tape was a conduit. My investigation shifted from the confession to the radio station itself. What happened at KAVIK in 1965? I found an old newspaper article online. In the summer of '65, the station had upgraded its broadcast tower, installing a new, much more powerful transmitter to increase its range. The article included a photo of the new tower, a steel lattice structure standing tall in a clearing a few miles out of town. An idea sparked in my mind, a wild theory born of desperation and modern physics. I cross-referenced the location of the new tower with old county maps from the 1950s. My breath caught in my throat. The KAVIK broadcast tower had been built on a plot of land right by the river bend, a stone's throw from an ancient, sprawling oak tree. The place from the confession. Electromagnetic fields, magnetic tape, a powerful radio transmitter broadcasting for years. It all clicked into a terrifying hypothesis. Frank Miller's spirit wasn't haunting the tape. His guilt, his crime, the raw emotional energy of that moment had been seared into the very earth where he buried his victim. For years, that psychic residual lay dormant. Then KAVIK built their tower. The powerful, concentrated electromagnetic field from the transmitter had acted like a recording head, imprinting that lingering spiritual cry onto the magnetic tape being used at the station. Frank Miller's confession wasn't recorded by a person. It was recorded by the location, an environmental ghost captured on a blank reel of tape. The voice I heard was a psychic stain, an echo of murder trapped in a magnetic loop. The whispers I heard in the static, that wasn't Frank. It was Eleanor. I knew what I had to do. Destroying the tape would silence the truth forever. I made an anonymous call to the county sheriff's department. I told them I was a property surveyor who had found what looked like a human bone while mapping the area around the old KAVIK tower. I gave them the exact coordinates. 2 days later, the local news was all over it. Investigators had unearthed a skeleton, identified by a locket found with the remains as Eleanor Vance. The cold case was finally closed. Her family, now old and gray, could finally lay her to rest. That night, I threaded the reel onto my deck one last time. I pressed play and fast-forwarded to the part with the confession. I put on my headphones and listened. There was nothing, just the hiss of blank tape. The voice, the whispers, the chilling confession. All of it was gone. The story had been told. The crime had been answered. The air was finally clear. Thank you for listening. Be sure to join us next time on Daily Story, where an art restorer working on a mysterious family portrait discovers that its painted eyes weep real tears each night, revealing a terrible secret in The Weeping Portrait. That was Dead Air. We hope it sent a chill down your spine. This has been a production of Daily Story on the MagicSurprise F channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more audiobook adventures every week. Until next time, listen closely.